Good morning, everyone. Again, great to see everyone here.
Dobro jutro vsem, lepo da se spet vidimo.
So we're going to continue with our message series on this thought, am I a fan or am I a committed follower?
Torej, nadaljevali bomo serijo sporočila, ki se nanaša na to, ali smo fani, ali smo res predani sledilci Jezusu.
If you have a Bible, you can be turning to the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 23.
Če imate sabo Biblijo, vas vabim, da si odprete na 23. poglavju Matejevega evangelija.
So we've already talked a lot about the difference between being a fan and a follower.
Veliko smo že govorili o razliki med tem, ali si fan, ali si pa res sledilec.
The first message was asking the question, are we entertained by Jesus or do we follow Jesus?
In prvo sporočilo iz te serije se je ukvarjalo z vprašanjem, ali nas Jezus bolj zabava ali pa mu sledimo njegovim sporočilom.
The second message we talked about, do we want to be a secret fan about following Jesus or are we bold enough to follow him during the daytime?
In drugo sporočilo pa je bilo, hočemo biti samo skriti oboževalec Jezusa, ali pa smo dovolj pogumni, da mu sledimo tudi podnevi.
In the third message we talked about, do we know about him or do we really know him?
Tretje sporočilo je bilo, samo poznamo stvari o Jezusu ali pa zares poznamo Jezusa.
And then last week we talked about, is he one of many or our one and only?
In prejšnji teden pa smo govorili o tem, ali je Jezus za nas eden od mnogih ali je naš edini.
So this week I want to introduce the material with a story to illustrate it.
Ta teden bi začel mogoče z eno zgodbo, da malo predstavimo zadevo.
So this year the Summer Olympics are going to happen and it's going to be in Paris.
Torej letos bojo poletne olimpijske igre, ki bojo v Parizu.
20 years ago though, in 2004, there was an American named Matt Emmons and he won gold in the 50-meter prone position rifle shooting.
In pred 20 leti, ko je bila tudi olimpijada, je bil Američan leta 2004 Matt Emmons, ki je osvojil zlato medaljo na 50 metrov streljanja s puško leže.
And he was trying to get the gold medal in the 3-position 50-meter rifle.
In on je poskušal osvojiti dvojno zlato v 3 položajih s puško.
And he was leading and he was an overwhelming favorite.
In on je že vodil in je bil favorit, kazalo je, da bo zmagal.
And on his very last shot, he didn't even need a bullseye. All he needed to do was hit the target.
Pri svojem zadnjem strelu je imel tako prednost, da mu sploh ni bilo treba zadeti v črno. Vse, kar je moral narediti, je, da zadane tarčo.
So he aimed and he fired.
Torej je nameril in je ustrelil.
And the shot landed just inside the 8-point ring.
In strel je zadel tarčo čist na robu teh točk.
And that would have won him the gold medal.
In to bi mu prineslo zlato medaljo.
But the problem was he had shot at the wrong target.
Ampak težava je bila v tem, da ni zadel svoje tarče, ampak je zadel napačno tarčo.
He was supposed to be shooting in lane 2 and he fired at the target on lane 3.
On bi moral zadeti tarčo na poziciji 2, zdaj je pa tarčo na poziciji 3.
His shot would have been good enough to win a second gold medal had he been aiming at the right target.
Ta strel, če bi zadel tarčo, bi bil dovolj, da bi mu prinesel zlato medaljo, ampak je meril na napačno tarčo.
Because he fired at the wrong target, his score for that shot was 0 and he ended up being in 8th place.
In ker je zadel napačno tarčo, je dobil 0 točk, kar mu je na koncu prineslo 8. mesto.
So in thinking about that, I thought that was a really good illustration of what happens to a lot of people we would consider fans of Jesus.
In menim, da je to dobro sporočilo za ljudi, ki so fani Jezusa.
If you were to ask them if they were a fan or a follower, they would confidently say, I'm a follower.
In če bi te ljudi vprašal, si ti fan, a si predani sledilec Jezusa Kristusa, bi oni zelo prepričljivo rekli, ja, res sem sledilec Jezusa Kristusa.
So for these people, it's not a question of effort or desire.
Za te ljudi to ni vprašanje truda ali pa želje.
They are trying very hard.
Zelo se trudijo.
But here's the problem. It's just not Jesus that they are following.
Ampak težava je v tem, da oni ne sledijo Jezusu.
Without fully understanding, they're aiming at the wrong target.
S polnim razumevanjem oni ciljajo na napačno tarčo.
And instead of truly following Jesus, they're following religious rules and rituals.
In namesto, da bi sledili Jezusu, oni sledijo nekim religioznim pravilom in ritualom.
They have confused the correct goals.
Oni so pomešali prave cilje.
And in Matthew chapter 23, Jesus tries to get the attention of a group of guys known as religious leaders.
Torej v tem Matejevem evangeliju, v 23. poglavju, poskuša Jezus pritegniti pozornost skupine, ki so bili znani kot verski voditelji.
And if you were trying to determine who was a follower of God at that time, you likely would have thought that these leaders were the right group. They were the followers.
In v tistem času, če bi te kdo vprašal, kdo je zares sledilec Bogu, bi verjetno rekel, ta skupina teh voditeljev, oni so res pravi sledilci.
That's because, as we've already talked about, they were the masters of the scriptures and expert theologians.
To je zato, ker so bili, kot smo že govorili, so bili mojstri svetega pisma in oni so bili strokovni teologi.
They were known for their strict observance to the law.
Oni so bili znani po tem, da so se strogo držali zakonov.
They would have received an almost perfect score on religious rule keeping.
Če bi merili ta upoštevanje verskih pravil, bi sigurno dosegli skoraj popoln rezultat.
But unfortunately, that was not the goal that Jesus was most concerned about.
Nažalost pa to ni bil cilj, ki je Jezusa najbolj skrbel.
See, following the rules kept them really focused on the outside, but who they were on the inside is what Jesus noticed the most.
Torej, s tem upoštevanjem pravil so bili te ljudje, ti verski voditelji, zelo osredotočeni na zunanjost, ampak Jezusa pa najbolj skrbi, je najbolj zaskrbljen za notranjost ljudi.
So the problem was what was on the outside did not match what was on the inside.
In težava je bila, da ta zunanjost, to, kar so te ljudje, kako so izgledali, ni bila enaka njihovi notranjosti.
And so in Matthew chapter 23, Jesus is going to preach one of his very last sermons here on earth.
In v torej 23. poglavju Matejevega evangelija bo Jezus podal eno svojo zadnjih javnih pridig, dokler je še tukaj na zemlji.
And if Jesus knew it was going to be one of his last sermons, and he certainly did know, don't you think that would be significant? His message would be significant?
In če bi Jezus vedel, da bo to ena od njegovih zadnjih pridig, in on sigurno to je vedel, se vam ne zdi, da bo to zelo pomembna pridiga?
These are his final words, so they would probably represent some of his most important words.
To bo eno od zadnjih sporočil Jezusa, se pravi, bojo to verjetno eno od najbolj pomembnih besed Jezusa.
And so Jesus is not going to hold anything back.
In tukaj se Jezus ne bo zadrževal.
This is not your soft and gentle Jesus.
To ne bo Jezus, ki govori mehko pa prijazno.
This is the urgent and focused Jesus.
To je Jezus, ki je v urgentni situaciji in je zelo osredotočen.
And this message is generally called the seven woes.
In to sporočilo dostikrat imenujejo 7 gorja.
And a woe does not sound like a good thing.
In gorje se ne sliši kot neka dobra stvar.
It's an expression of grief, but it's also a curse.
Gorje je po eni strani izraz žalosti, je pa hkrati tudi prekletstvo.
And after each one of these woes, he follows it with a rebuke.
In po vsakem od teh gorja sledi še graja.
It's not a warning and it's not a caution.
In to ni opozorilo.
It's not advice.
In to ni nek prijazen nasvet.
This is Jesus who is strong opposition because they were focusing on their rules.
To je Jezusovo močno nasprotovanje, ker so te ljudje, ker se osredotočajo samo na ta pravila.
And the people Jesus is focusing on, these woes on, are called the Sanhedrin, these 72 religious leaders that we've already talked about.
In ljudje, ki jih tukaj Jezus naslavlja, so predvsem ti verski voditelji, Sanhedrin so se imenovali, to je bilo 72 teh voditeljev, o katerih smo že govorili.
So the Sanhedrin was made up of Pharisees and Sadducees, and there were big differences between the two groups.
To skupino Sanhedrin so sestavljali farizeji in pa saduceji, med njimi je bilo kar dosti razlike.
See, the Sadducees would have been born into this position. It had to be a part of their family heritage.
Torej, saduceji so bili rojeni v to tradicijo, to je bil del njihovega družinskega nasledstva.
Now, the Pharisees, they would have had to work very hard to get into their position.
Farizeji pa niso bili v to rojeni, oni so mogli pa zelo težko delati, se zelo močno učiti, da so prišli na svoj položaj.
And I can certainly see a parallel between fans when we look at these two groups of people.
In danes, ko pogledamo te dve skupini, vidimo neko usporednico z fani.
So some fans are like the Sadducees. Their faith was something that they think they were born into.
Torej, nekateri fani ali pa navijači so bili kot saduceji, so bili, njihova vera bila nekaj, kar so se že rodili.
It was never really something that they chose for themselves.
To sploh ni bilo nekaj, kar bi oni sami izbrali.
Maybe when you were born, because of your parents, you were baptized as a baby. You grew up acting like Christians are supposed to act.
In mogoče je podobno tudi s katerimi od vas. Ko ste se rodili, ste bili krščeni kot otrok in ste se ravnali krščansko, kot so pričakovali, da boste ravnali.
But at no time you never made a decision on your own about following Jesus.
Ampak v nobenem trenutku pa v tem scenariju niste naredili same odločitve, da boste sledili Jezusu.
So this belief that you have has always been about honoring your family heritage more than surrendering your heart.
In ta tako imenovana vera je bolj to, da sledite tej družinskemu nasledstvu, kot pa da delate to, kar vam reče srce.
Now, on the other hand, some are like Pharisees, measuring their faith by how hard they work at learning or following the law.
Nekateri pa so mogoče bolj podobni farizejem, ki svojo vero merijo s trdim delom pri učenju in pa s tem, da sledijo pravilom.
And even though you say and do the right thing, it's not really a reflection of who you are inside.
Ampak čeprav govorite in delate prave stvari, to ni res odsev tega, kar ste vi znotraj.
And so to Jesus, that is never going to be enough. He wants all of you.
In za Jezusa to ne bo nikoli dovolj. On vas hoče v celoti.
Now, Krista can tell you this. I was very conscious of the fact that our kids were not going to grow up like she and I did.
Krista, Monteva žena, lahko potrdi to, da njuni otroci niso odraščali na enak način, kot sta Krista in pa Monte.
We both grew up with examples in our parents of people who did not have a real relationship with God.
Ona dva sta primera ljudi, ki sta se rodila staršem, ki niso imeli nekega pravega odnosa z Bogom.
In a very real sense, she and I were, you could say, first generation believers.
V pravem smislu bi lahko rekli, da sta bila vernika prve generacije.
We had both lived the other life of sin, and we had both seen how empty and unfulfilling it would be.
Oba sta živela na drugi strani greha in videla sta, kako je lahko to neizpolnjujoče in prazno življenje.
And we both knew how far God had gone to come rescue us from our life of trouble.
In oba dva sta lahko pričata o tem, kako je šel Bog daleč, da jih je rešil iz njunih težav.
But our children really didn't experience that.
Njuni otroci pa tega niso doživeli.
The only life they ever knew was one where both parents were doing their best to be devoted to God.
Edino življenje, ki ga njuni otroci poznajo, je to, da se starša trudita na najboljši način, da ima odnos z Bogom.
And for our kids, having not been deep sinners like we were, I worried that they would not value in the same way their own spiritual rescue, which was totally up to them.
In zaradi razloga, da njuni otroci niso bili taki močni grešniki kot ona dva, Monte skrbi, da otroci tudi ne bojo znali ceniti tega odnosa z Bogom, kot ga ona dva.
We never forced them to make a decision,
Ona dva jih nista nikoli silila, da naredita kakšno odločitev,
because that would never work anyway.
ker to itak ne bi delovalo.
It had to be their choice, and thank God each of them made a choice on their own.
Ta odnos z Bogom je moral biti odločitev vsakega posameznega otroka in hvala Bogu so to odločitev tudi sprejeli.
So I tell you that because there is a danger with that.
To govorimo zato, ker tukaj obstaja nevarnost glede tega.
Because a family member might go to church, that does not mean that a relationship with God is magically passed down to you through genetics.
Ker nevarnost je ta, če družinski član hodi v cerkev, to ne pomeni, da bo skozi neko genetiko ta odnos z Bogom prešel na tebe.
Because that's not how it works.
Ker to ni, kako to deluje.
Many fans approach their relationship with God this way, though.
Veliko ljudi pa svojemu odnosu do Boga pristopa na ta način.
You look the right way.
Zgledaš na pravi način.
Maybe you know the right words to say.
Morda tudi veš prave besede, ki jih je treba izreči.
You may even say God or Jesus a lot.
Lahko tudi veliko omenjaš Boga ali pa Jezusa.
But deep down inside, in truth, your heart is really not in it.
Ampak globoko v resnici pa tvoje srce mogoče ni v tem.
So here's our question for this week. Are you more focused on the outside or the inside?
Torej, vprašanje za ta teden je, ali se bolj osredotočaš na zunanjost, na zunanji izgled ali na notranjost.
So we're about to see some great examples right now as we read Matthew chapter 23 verses 1 through 4.
In zdaj bomo videli en lep primer, ko bomo brali Mateja Evangelij 23. poglavje, verze od 1 do 4.
Matthew 23 verses 1 through 4 says, Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, The scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, or what they tell you to do, that observe and do. But do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, or difficult to carry, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers.
Torej piše, tedaj je Jezus spregovoril množicam in svojim učencem. Mojzesov stol so zasedli pismouki in farizeji. Delajte vse in se držite vsega, kar vam rečejo. Po njihovih delih pa se naravnajte, govorijo namreč, pa ne delajo. Vežejo težka in neznosna bremena in jih nalagajo ljudem na rame, sami pa jih še s prstom nočejo premakniti.
It's exactly like that old saying, do as I say, not as I do.
In to je tako kot stari pregovor, ki pravi, delaj tako, kot jaz rečem, ne tako, kot jaz delam.
What Jesus is saying is they know what is right and they will tell you to do it, but they don't do it themselves.
In tukaj Jezus sporoča, pravi, ti ljudje vejo, kaj je prav in vam bojo povedali, kaj morate narediti, ampak oni sami pa tega ne bojo počeli.
And Jesus is just getting started.
In Jezus svojim sporočilom tukaj šele začenja.
Now we're going to go through some of these verses rather quickly, but stay with me here. Look at verse 13, verse 14, verse 15. I'm going to read. It says, But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites. Verse 14. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites. Verse 15. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites.
Torej, pogledamo skupaj verze 13, 14 in pa 15, kjer piše, to da gore vam, pismouki in farizeji, hinavci, ker pred ljudmi zaklepate nebeško kraljestvo. In potem v 14. Piše, vi sami namreč ne vstopate tistim, ki bi radi vstopili, pa ne dovolite vstopiti. Gorje vam pismouki in farizeji, hinavci, ker prepotujete morje in kopno, da enega samega napravite za spreobrnjenca.
And we could go on and go on. He says the same thing in verses 16, verse 23, verse 27, and 29 as well.
In podobno naprej še bi lahko naštevati jezna sporočila v 16., 23., 27. in pa 29. verzu.
And what does he keep saying? Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites.
In kaj Jezus poroča, pravi, gorje vam pismouki in farizeji, hinavci.
So are we getting an idea of how Jesus feels about these very religious guys?
Torej si lahko predstavljate, kako se Jezus počuti do teh zelo religioznih ljudi.
He seems to be laying it out very clearly.
Zdi se nam, da to zelo jasno položi v besede.
And if you were to read the rest of each of those verses, you would see why Jesus pronounced a curse on them.
In če bi prebrali preostanek vsakega od teh verzov, bi tudi videli, zakaj jih je Jezus preklel.
Because there was a problem, and the problem was what they were teaching was not a reflection of who they were.
Ker tukaj je bil problem, je bila težava. In težava je bila v tem, da so te ljudje učili nekaj, kar sploh ni bil odraz njih.
So did you see the word hypocrite come up time and time again?
In torej, če ste videli, se ta izraz hinavci, hipokriti ponavlja v vsakem verzu.
So this word hypocrite comes from the ancient Greek theater.
Se pravi, ta beseda v angleščini hipokrit izhaja iz starogrškega gledališča.
And in Greek, actors were called hypocrites.
In tej stari grščini so igralce imenovali hipokriti.
And many times during a Greek play, one actor would play many different parts.
In velikokrat med temi starimi grškimi deli je en igralec lahko igral več različnih vlog.
And for each character, the actor would use a different mask.
In za vsak karakter, za vsak lik je igralec uporabil različno masko.
You wouldn't see their real face, it was always behind the mask.
In tukaj ne bi, v teh igrah ne bi videli resničnega obraza teh ljudi, ampak vedno masko.
And I think this is what Jesus is getting to. It's a characteristic of fans.
In to hoče Jezus povedati, to je lastnost fanov.
They get really caught up. They focus on what people see on the outside.
Zelo so osredotočeni na to, kaj ljudje vidijo od zunaj.
But what everybody was seeing, they didn't really reflect who that person actually was.
Ampak to, kar so drugi ljudje videli, se ni odsevalo o tem, kaj so te ljudje v resnici bili.
And I think this is the clearest picture when Jesus compares them to tombs in verse 27.
In mogoče je najbolj jasna slika, ko jih v 27. verzu Jezus primerja z grobnicami.
He says this, "Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like whited or painted sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones and all uncleanness."
Torej v 27. verzu Jezus pravi, gorje vam pismouki in farizeji, hinavci, ker ste podobni pobeljenim grobovom, ki se na zunaj zdijo lepi, znotraj pa so polni mrtvaških kosti in vsakršne nečistosti.
So exactly like a tomb, they looked good on the outside, but the inside was a different story.
Torej pravi, podobni ste, točno taki ste kot grobovi. Lepi ste od zunaj, notri pa je druga zgodba.
Jesus described them like this, hypocrites, actors, pretenders.
Pravi, hipokriti, hinavci, igralci.
Jesus is very hard on these people who were trying to impress people with how good they are, when the reality was on the inside they were totally different.
Torej, teh ljudi, ki so poskušali narediti vtis na ljudi, s tem, da so kazali neko zunanji obraz, znotraj pa so drugačni.
And as hard as Jesus was on those who don't have it all together, he is tender to those who don't have it all together. But those who are open and honest, to admit it. Jesus is very tender and kind to them.
In čeprav je pa Jezus zelo strog do teh ljudi, ki kažejo pač eno, delajo pa drugo, je pa hkrati tudi nežen do tistih, ki imajo sicer stvari postavljene narobe, ampak so vseeno dovolj odprti in pa pošteni, da to priznajo.
Because Jesus doesn't expect followers to be perfect, but he does want them to be authentic and real.
Ker Jezus vseeno ne pričakuje, da bodo njegovi sledilci popolni, ampak želi pa si, da so pristni in pa resnični.
Now, this is what Christ wants in a follower, someone who isn't pretending on the outside to have it all together.
Torej, to je tisto, kar Jezus pričakuje od sledilca. Nekoga, ki se na zunaj ne pretvarja, da ima celoto, kot je potrebno.
So now he's going to give us some indicators that maybe we should analyze ourselves about.
Se pravi, zdaj nam bo Jezus dal tudi nekaj, bi rekli, indikatorjev, po katerih se lahko sami sebe analiziramo.
The first one is choosing rules over a relationship.
Prvi je, a zbiramo pravila namesto odnosa.
I've seen this so many times.
To smo videli zelo pogosto.
People think because they come to church and they look the right way and say the right things that they're okay.
Ljudje mislijo, da ko pridejo v cerkev, pa govorijo prave stvari, delajo prave stvari, da so zaradi tega v redu.
My mind immediately goes back to a couple of weeks ago when we talked about that woman who was a known sinner, but she came and fell down before Jesus when he was in the Pharisees' house.
In če se spomnimo zgodbe izpred par tednov, ko je ženska, ki je bila znana grešnica, padla pred nogi Jezusom v hiši, v farizejevi hiši.
From the outside, most people watching this, maybe everyone would have said, that poor religious man, this Pharisee, he has to deal with this sinful woman, this prostitute.
In navzven bi lahko rekli, ta ubogi religiozni človek, ta farizej se mora s to grešno žensko, s to prostitutko ukvarjati.
Because we know that the Pharisees looked the part, and we all know about the life of a prostitute.
Ker vemo, kako so živeli farizeji in vemo, kako so živele prostitutke.
So what would Jesus do?
Torej, kaj pa bi Jezus naredil?
Well, a few weeks ago, we saw what he did.
Torej, videli smo, kaj je naredil Jezus.
Because the woman came with a repentant heart on the inside, Jesus received her and forgave her sins.
Ker je ženska do Jezusa pristopila iz srcem polnem kesanja, je Jezus to sprejel in je odpustil.
And the Pharisee didn't understand because he always, on the outside, did everything according to the rules.
Farizej pa tega ni razumel, ker on je navzven delal vedno vse po pravilih.
And Jesus rebuked him because he was not right on the inside.
In Jezus ga je v tem trenutku grajal, ker farizej ni pravilno deloval znotraj.
Number 2, choosing laws over love.
Številka 2, ali izberemo zakone ali ljubezen.
Again, I think of a story just a few chapters before this that we read today in Matthew chapter 12.
Spet se spomnimo na zgodbo, ki smo jo brali pred nekaj tedni v Matejevem evangeliju, 12. poglavje.
Again, the Pharisees are in this story and they ask Jesus if it is lawful to heal someone on the Sabbath.
Tudi v tej zgodbi spet nastopajo farizeji in oni hočejo spraviti Jezusa v past in sprašujejo ga, ali je dovoljeno ozdraviti človeka na sabat, v soboto.
See, they practice very rigid restrictions on what could be done on the Sabbath day.
Oni so imeli zelo stroga pravila glede tega, kaj se sme delati na sabat.
And Jesus simply asked them, which one of you, if you had a sheep fall into a pit, would you not rescue it?
In Jezus jih je vprašal, kateri od vas, če bi imel ovce, pa bi mu ovca padla brezno, kateri od vas jo ne bi rešil, tudi če je sabat?
And then Jesus goes a step farther and he says, how much more valuable is a man than a sheep?
In potem naredi Jezus še korak naprej, pa reče, koliko bolj vreden pa je človek namesto ovce.
There is the principle of the letter of the law, or there is just an act of love.
Se pravi, na eni strani obstaja načelo črke zakone, na drugi strani pa dejanje iz ljubezni.
So the lesson for us is know the difference between the two and act accordingly.
Torej, mi moramo spoznati razliko med tema dvema dejanjema in pravilno ravnati.
Here's another one, number 3. Guilt over grace.
In številka 3, krivda ali milost.
See, when following rules over following Jesus becomes the focus, fans are going to find that they're continually weighed down with guilt.
Ko sledimo pravilom, namesto da bi sledili Jezusu Kristusu, se fanom vedno znova poraja občutek krivde.
Because religious people, they're very skilled at making a lot of rules.
Ker religiozni ljudje so zelo izkušeni v tem, da lahko naredijo zelo veliko pravil.
We read it when we read that first portion of Scripture from Matthew chapter 23. Look at what verse 4 says.
In pogledali smo si se pravi, Matejevem evangeliju 23. poglavje 4. vers, kaj piše.
This part specifically, it says, they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne and lay them on men's shoulders.
Piše pa, vežejo težka in neznosna bremena in jih nalagajo ljudem na rame.
See, some of these rules don't even have to be from the Bible.
Vidite, nekatera od teh pravil mogoče sploh ne prihajajo iz Biblije.
The Pharisees were known for this.
Farizeji so sploh bili znani po tem.
Many of their rules were simply put in place to force someone to fit into their club.
Nekatera pravila so preprosto usilili za to, da bo nekdo ustrezal njihovem klubu.
It becomes a form of performance-based acceptance.
To je bolj oblika predstava nad sprejemanjem.
So, in other words, we'll accept you if you perform as we say and keep our rules.
Torej, to je, sprejeli vas bomo, če boste delovali tako, kot mi pravimo in če boste upoštevali naša pravila.
But in the end, it simply leads to defeat and guilt because nobody can carry these burdens for a long time.
Na koncu pa tak način pripelje do poraza in do krivde, ker nihče ne more takih težkih bremen dolgo časa nositi.
Because as hard as we try, we're not perfect.
Ker kolikorkoli se trudimo, popolni nismo.
And God knows that.
In Bog to ve.
Because followers find grace from Jesus as we do our best to follow Him with a pure and right heart.
Torej, sledilci najdemo milost od Jezusa, ker se po najboljših močeh trudimo slediti Jezusu s čistim in pravičnim srcem.
What did Jesus say? What Jesus say? He said, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light."
Kaj pa pravi Jezus? Jezus pravi, moj jarem je prijeten in moje breme je lahko.
So here's a quick test to see where we are.
Torej, tukaj je hiter test glede tega, kje smo.
Do we think that our acceptance by God is based on what we do for Him?
Torej, a mislimo, da naše sprejemanje strani Boga temelji na tem, kar mi delamo za njega?
How do you fit within those two categories at the beginning?
Kako se ujemate s tema dvema kategorijama na začetku?
Do you consider yourself a Christian because your family is Christian?
A ste kristjan zato, ker je vaša družina krščanska?
Maybe you believe you're okay with God because of something that you have done, like baptism or communion or catechism.
Mogoče mislite, da je vaš odnos z Bogom dober zaradi nečesa, kar ste naredili, kot je recimo krst, obhajilo, kaj drugega.
So, now I want to be completely honest with you. Those are all works that are in your control, and if you think your spiritual rescue is in your control, then you are badly mistaken.
In če smo popolnoma iskreni, ta dela, ki smo jih našteli, so dela, ki so pod vašo kontrolo, pod vašim nadzorom. In če mislite, da je vaša duhovna odrešitev pod vašim nadzorom, se motite.
Those are all things that are done on the outside.
To je vse nekaj, kar je narejeno navzven.
And Jesus is looking at the inside.
Jezus pa gleda vašo notranjost.
So, another question, are you simply wearing a mask, being a pretender?
Torej, še eno vprašanje. A samo nosite masko, se pretvarjate?
And so I'll end with the question that we brought up today. Are you more focused on the outside or the inside?
Torej, to glavno vprašanje danes je, ali ste bolj osredotočeni na svojo zunanjost ali na notranjost?
Because Jesus is focused on the inside.
Ker Jezus Kristus je osredotočen na notranjost ljudi.
So that's going to end our message for today. We're going to take some time here and discuss that, but that'll end the video for today. Thank you for joining us and hope you join us again next week.
Torej, s tem zaključujemo naše video sporočilo. Mi se bomo še naprej tukaj v skupini pogovarjali o tem sporočilu. Vas pa, ki ste gledali preko videa, pa vas lepo pozdravljamo in vas blagoslavljamo. Upam, da se vidimo naslednji teden.
All right, anybody have any